Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Right, we're starting here at Preston. We've got to get our train, so we've got to get a move on to find it, because we want to catch the pacer at 14:40, and here it is. It's waiting for us, so we're going to pick this train up, and we're going to continue our journey from where we caught it last time. Last time we'd done it from Ormskirk to Preston. We're now going to continue it further to Blackpool South from Preston, the final leg of our route here on this Blackpool branchy. So if you remember last time, we had a good look around the train station around Preston. We found a few little things. We've got some other little things to show you. We've got a couple of guys here having a conversation. Not quite sure what they're talking about, but you've got this guy over here who looks like he wants to do something, but realistically doesn't really want to do any work. So this is the goods platform, and I guess really they're waiting for the next train to come in. But our train's ready to depart here at Preston, and onward forward to our onward journey, which is Kirkham and Wesham, which we have already visited once before. If you remember rightly, we did visit it in our very first ever video that we did here on the Blackpool branches, when we took the pacer from Blackpool North. We're now doing the reverse part of this journey, because we will go to Kirkham and Wesham, and then after Kirkham and Wesham we will then go on what we call a split part of the route, where we'll actually split the route and we'll actually continue further along the route itself. So we've got a class 47 we've just passed there. Strange as it may seem, it's in a very strange livery. I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but maybe that's one for the future. Who knows what that's about. So on the way out of Preston, we might notice a couple of pacers or 101s sitting in some sidings up ahead, which we saw in the last video. We can have a look at those and just see whether they're still there and what their purposes are. But we will do, in a few later video, we will do a 101 special. But before we have a look and go further down this line, let's show you these two in the sidings. So we've got a pacer and obviously the 101, which sits there quite nicely. Yeah, they look pretty good, don't they? So as we come on the slope out of Preston, we have got this lovely church, which is there, but also just coming past us is a class 47, which is a very, very long train, but just coming straight into Preston. And we'll even do a class 47 special as well on this route, because I feel like we need to really explore it. But we'll do them in a much later edition. At the moment we are concentrating, of course, on the route itself, and then we'll uncover a little bit more as we go along in later editions. But we are hoping on this on these videos to actually sort of try and complete every kind of route that there is that's based in the UK. So we're hoping to maybe do like them over 3, maybe 1, maybe 2 videos each time in smaller parts for you so you can absorb it a little bit better. And the idea is, once we've got through most of the routes, we'll do some fun stuff. But we will do some fun stuff along the way as well, so don't think it's not going to happen. We will be doing something very, very soon where we're going to be testing speeds of trains, and we're going to try and see if how far we can actually push them on certain routes, and how quick they can go. Maybe a little race might be in tow as well at some point. Anyway, back to the route. Over here they are building what I believe is to be an extension of this line. Now I do believe that this came a lot later, not quite sure when, but I do believe it is an extension. Now I'm not quite sure how far this extension goes, but it does go uphill here. Now I don't know if this is a road or a train line, but it does go quite a way round, and it goes over this bridge and then over this canal and then out. But I don't know if it's a road or whether or whether it's a train line. I don't know what the building of that part of the route actually is. I don't know if it's something that came later. I don't know. But if you know, let me know, because I don't know yet. So that's it's one for me to sort of maybe discover over the years. So just to let you know where we're going to go. So after Kirkham and Wesham, we will be heading towards Moss Side, Lytham, Ansell and Fairhaven, St Anne's-on-Sea, Squiersgate and Blackpool South. Quite a long part of the route, to be quite honest with you, but a very interesting one at that. Here we go, something coming past, another pacer. So a lot of traffic on this route, a lot of traffic indeed. You do see quite a lot of it come past in some shapes and different forms. Sometimes you even get to see some actual freight traffic that actually comes on this route, which is quite good as well, which comes out of what we call the Bernays Loop. Now we will cover that in a later route as well. We will look at the Bernays route because it's quite an interesting part of the route. It's got a few disused stations. It's like a freight terminal, but we will pick that up at a very, very later date in this game, and I'll show you that as we delve into later editions of the route. Okay. So we're coming up to Kirkham and Wesham, about 3 miles. There's a little, I think, over to our left here, I believe, that we're coming up to. This is actually a siding, or a buy point, what I call a buy point. It's where you've got this little bit of track that comes off and then rejoins the track. It's almost like a little siding area where the freight can go. It's even got another little section of track over here as well, which goes all the way up to here, and yet again another siding. Sometimes you do occasionally see a odd freight train sitting here, and it's used as a bypass point, especially if the train isn't ready. We're going through the GO station that is Salwick, which I don't think I've ever stopped at, as I mentioned in the last video. So we are playing the updated timetable on this one, which has, and I do believe it's got more traffic in the whole thing. It's a lot different to what it used to be, but it's got a lot more traffic, and you will start to see some good things. If you get a chance, create a scenario, go into the scenario there and actually do a scenario on this route, but with modern day trains. I done it and it got really messy. There was trains leaving everywhere, and it was just, you were doing a lot of wait because the signal points are not that close on this route. They're not that close. They're quite spaced out, so you're constantly waiting on signals, but it made the gameplay so interesting. It really did. But give it a go if you can. Give it a go. It's definitely well worth a little play with it. Every scenario editor is very good, but it can get very messy, and I always find that some of the routes don't have portals, and I feel like the ones that have the portals, you can create much more better experiences, because you can actually tell, like, do the train, like the routes, but you can also tell the train where to go, so they go off the map and then you've got more room to play. Some of the routes don't have the portals, and they do become a little bit like, oh, and then you get a clogging up situation. You can't fleet backwards and forwards as much as you like, so that's become a little bit tedious. So I think the portals are definitely something that we need. Right, we're just coming into Kirkham and Wesham now, so we're going to slow down a little bit. We have got a red signal, and we've got another class 47 that's coming past us, I believe. Let's have a look. There we go. Lovely stuff. It's always good to see the traffic coming past you on the routes. I feel like it just adds that little bit of excitement to it. But we found it there, and that's a really good part of the route. So here we are at Kirkham and Wesham, our next station. Or our next station. I guarantee no one will actually get on the train, because there is definitely a bug on this route where passengers just they just don't want to get on the trains. I don't know what it is. But we're going to stop quite nicely, I think. I normally overshoot this one. There we go, we're here. Let's get this open. Let's see if anyone does actually get on. I'll be surprised if they do. Yep, as I thought, no one gets on. As you can see, they just stand there. You get this multitude of passengers, and they just stand there. And it's definitely a bug in the game. 100% it's a bug in the game. So that's a bit disappointing, because these passengers will just be there and left there. They're not going anywhere. They're not going to do anything. But it's a shame, because you probably think, oh, why are you not, why don't you want to get on the train? I mean, I've closed the doors but we can't leave just yet because we're on a red signal. But if I open them again, just out of curiosity, they still won't get on. And if you look how many we've actually got on here. And I think there's another train. I think there's another train just coming over here. Oh, there you go. Look, you've got a through train going round the loop. So it doesn't actually stop here at Kirkham and Wesham. So it just goes straight through. Another 47. A lot of traffic, wouldn't you say? A lot of traffic coming through this station. But yeah, look, they're just sitting there. It's a bit sad, really. It's a shame that part of the route isn't as fun. You really want them to get on. You really do, but they just don't want to get on your train. They just don't want to get on, and that's the saddest point about it. They really don't. But anyway, let's. We're going to creep up to this light a little bit. If you just look across here, we're just going to creep up to it because we don't want to go too mad here, but we also don't want to skip the red light. But by the time we get there, it'll probably go green. But obviously we're wasting time hanging around a platform. We could be getting on our way. So hopefully in a second or two it'll go green. There we go. And we're off. And we're off on our next part of the journey as we head to Moss Side, I believe, the next one. Yeah, there we go, Moss Side, just in 2 miles. So there's a lot to see on this next section of the route, because we've already seen Kirkham and Wesham. But when we get to the other stations, you'll see that there's a lot of closed stations, a lot of debris. There's a lot to see as we enter this part of the route. And this route is mostly singular track for most of the route. But we'll have a little look around. It'll be interesting to see what we've got. And it is a fun part of the route as well. It's not maybe as good as the Blackpool North part of the route, but it's definitely good. But let's get on it. We're going to reduce that speed a little bit just to get around this bend, and eventually I think we'll end up going on a single track all the way to Moss Side. So let's see what happens. So we're going around this bend. There's not much to see at the moment. And we won't probably see too much passing traffic now. Because we will be, as I said, going on that singular line kind of very, very soon. In fact, we're all already on that singular line. So there won't be too much traffic on this route. So, but we will see little things that we might need to keep a look out for and have a look for. So we've got the address system here. There you go. The early kind of system where you would have had to push that before you get into the train, and it's not automatic. So, between the 1980s and maybe the early 2000s, a lot had changed. But we're carrying on with this route now. And only 2 miles away now. As we go into this little ravine that we're travelling along, you'll notice that either side of us is yet again catered for us by a lovely, wonderful Lancashire countryside. And yeah, it's quite nice. There's a lot to see, but a lot of this route is countryside. So if you're not really into your countryside routes, I wouldn't recommend this one. But if you like a nice little jaunt back to the past, it is an absolute great little bit of. It's an absolute great timepiece, actually. To be honest with you, it's a nice little timepiece of history. Even though it's set in the past, I don't actually mind the Pacer or the 47. It's when you got the steam routes set in the past that it really does become not one of my favourite kind of things. It's very tedious. So we're just coming into Moss Side, not far from it now. And we'll have a little look around Moss Side Station. We'll see just how different that is, that station, compared to some of the other stations we've seen along this route.
The next stop is Moss Side.
Why did he say Moss Side? Why does he say it like that? So we're just coming around this bend, and then we should start seeing the station. We're not that far from it now. Just going to start reducing that speed down a little bit. So we're coming to Moss Side, and obviously you can see as we're coming up to it, there is a little bit of a housing development. So there are some nice little houses there, so which is quite nice. So we'll have a little look around little things here, but it is a singular track, and it obviously is a one platform station. And there's not, even though it is a one platform station, you can actually see the overgrown platform that used to be there. Get those doors open. Let's have a little look around. We've ended up in someone's back garden here, but you got you got washing on the line. You got a wheelbarrow, little shed. You've got a swing for the children. You got a table and chairs and the garden. Some old 1980s retro cars. Moving traffic out on the streets, and a bus stop. There you go. But yeah, not too bad. But as I said, you can see these overgrown platforms, and there's a sandcastle bucket there, one of the collectibles you can actually get as well. But as you can see, it's very overgrown, and this used to be a platform once upon a time. But the other platform looks remarkably average. I mean, there's not much to see, but it is a platform that kind of survived a little bit, and it's a little bit, we will see that as we go along the route. We will see more and more of this overgrown textures and disused platforms, and probably the best one to see is still to come. A lot of detail in these stations. Now these next lot of stations are very close together. They're only about a mile or so apart from each other, so they're very close. Okay, but we are inland, and we are going back out, of course, to the coast, basically Blackpool South, which there isn't a lot of distance between the two stations, but the only difference is the Blackpool North line is very usable. Lots of lines, lots of interesting stuff going on, as where this is just a single line all the way. So yeah, this is a little bit, this part of the route is a little bit desolate in times, but it's the age. It's showing how times have changed along the railway and how things became what they are now. Like this is it, so it's proper. Yeah, it's proper tough stuff, if you know what I mean. To think that you're driving this in, say, 1980 something, and before too long, these stations, some of these lines would be redeveloped and gone. So you know, you're playing a part of history, but it's a great little route. And I've got to say, I do love the pacer. It's a great thing. It's a great one to use, and it really does pick up speed quite quickly. It really does get going. So we're just coming to Lytham. Not that far from it now. Just going to slow out, train down a little bit as we come into it. And yeah, again, we come into a nice built-up area. As you can see, it's the houses sort of kind of do replicate themselves a little bit, but it's quite interesting because over here we've got, I think we've got an allotment over here. Yeah, look. But yet again, the thing that lets it down, nothing's growing on the allotment, and I think I would have liked to have seen some things getting grown. Maybe it would have been pretty interesting to see that sort of thing happening. It's a shame they couldn't add that in. You know, a few plants growing probably wouldn't have hurt. Considering you've got all these trees and everything around, there wouldn't be no reason why you wouldn't. But anyway, we're coming up to Lytham now, so let's push that thing and let everyone know.
We'll shortly be arriving at Lytham.
I did push the emergency button a little bit early, but it's accepted it. I'm going to just move up the platform just a fraction because we're a little bit off the platform route. Now this is a very interesting station again, because yet again we've got this disused platform, and it currently has a slope which is open at the other end. So it does make me think, was this platform like kind of recently shut in the game? Because if you look, there's not much to it, but over the other side you've got quite a nice platform, but you can still see some debris of like building and stuff that's kind of been done. And we've actually got passengers getting on this time, believe it or not. We've actually got passengers going. It's a miracle, but we have got passengers getting on the train, which is good. But as you can see, there's a load of cement going on there. They're doing up the line, and for what looks quite substantial outside, there's not much happening on the inside. So it's yeah, quite an interesting little station, I'd say. But yet again, down to one platform, some work's going on outside. Very interesting. Next up is Ansdell and Fairhaven. Yet again, just over a mile away. So as you can see, that station is quite long yet again, but really not much going on. So I wonder when that was actually closed, because there's a ramp there that's physically open. So there must be something that you can do to access it, as it would be. So it's quite an interesting little route. That I'm intrigued by the years of the thing going under, really. But let's see what happens. Anyway, we continue. We're not that far from the next station. Can't really remember much about this station, but this isn't the one that I think is the best detailed station on the whole line. But I'll show you that later when we get there. Not too far from it now. I think this is the one that has a slope coming down into the central reservation, the station, and it seems like a wasted kind of station. You'll see what I mean in a second. I think this one is yet again another one victim of the lines going down to one line. But you'll see what I mean. So this is a real interesting station because over here you've got what would have been the other platform. Now it's interesting to think that if you go through here, like, there must have been some other lines over here because you've got some rubble blocking it, but the line would have gone under this bridge and then probably next to it and would have probably gone somewhere near here. But it's crazy to think that there would have been more going on here. And I don't know, let's see what this notice says. So it doesn't really give you many clues, but yeah, again, the passengers don't want to get on your train. So if they're not going to get on, we're going to move on. I'm not waiting around for them all day. They had their chance. They can stay there in the blazing sun if they like. So we're off to St Anne's on the Sea. Now this is the station that I think has the most detail, and when you see this, it is probably the most historical point of the whole route. And the reason why I say it is because when you look at it, you'll actually notice there's a few things to see here that will actually be quite historically sad. So when we get there, I'll show you around the actual station and show you exactly what it is. Now that train line where on the other platform where we went under the bridge, you can actually see the remains here of what would have been the old track bed. So you can see where the second line would have been, and in the day probably would have been running two lines. Now obviously services probably to this and to from this route probably did get a little bit disused and not really, you know, being used as popular as it should do. But over here we have got a golf course. Not much of a golf course, but it's sort of a golf course. No golfers on it though, but you have got over here, look, a little hole in a flag. So you know, interesting stuff. But where are the golfers? Yet again, another little missing feature, I think, that could have just made it just that little bit exciting. You know, little things like that could have really made the route just that little bit more visually, aesthetically pleasing. Anyway, we're coming into St Anne's on the Sea, and as I said, I will show you some things here that will be very, like, sad historically, because this is the station where you can really see the changes that's happening on this line, and it's really clear on this. So really what they've done with this next station in the game shows a very historical and accurate kind of time that this line was going through. But you'll see it as we come in. Now I'm coming in a little bit fast, so I'm going to emergency brake it a little bit, I think, because so yet again the disused platform, but on this one it looks like it hasn't been closed too long, because as you can see you've got broken windows, an out of order toilet which you can actually go in and see, but obviously clearly not being used. You've got another room here with a cement mixer, things getting changed. Over here all boarded up, very sad times. And over here the station's in pieces. Look, there's slats, roofing, rooms still being done, empty bins being loaded, an old ticket booth that is down and out, and some pro wrestling. And an old waiting room. You know, it's just, this is a pure historical action. But if you look here, from June 1987, the term second class, we changed the standard. There you go. But yeah, it's just, this is probably one of the historical routes that is really like sad when you look at it historically, because you think to yourself, well, you know, this station is sort of just about operating, isn't it? It's just about operating, and we're just sitting in like bricks and mortar everywhere we go. Sad times. We're off to Squires Gate next though, and we're just a couple of stations away now from our final stop, which is of course Blackpool South. We'll have a look outside of Blackpool South when we get there, just to see the contrasting difference from the first video we did, because you could see the Eiffel Tower and stuff. So let's see if we can see the Eiffel Tower from Blackpool South, and you'll get an idea of how close the stations are realistically. So just yet again, just over a mile and a half away will be Squires Gate. Anyone wants to read up on the history of this line, go on the internet and have a look. I think it will make very, very interesting reading, to say the least. A very historical route, I would say, and visually and aesthetically pleasing to play as well. Now, I think in the distance, I've just got sight or wind of the Blackpool Tower, which I think is just in the distance, centre of the screen. So you can see how close we are getting to the coast now, and just how far Blackpool North is from us. It's not that far at all, but we are coming to Squires Gate, so we're just going to come in with a bit of an approach. And there is a little Easter egg to see along this line, which I'll show you very, very soon as well, once we get on to the next station. Now, we've got a lot of holiday homes here, like little chalets and stuff like that beside the railway line, which is always nice to see. And they've got a little football pitch to our right there. But this is yet again Squires Gate, with yet again another disused platform, which is not really servicing much. But this station is probably the bleakest of them all. I mean, there's really nothing on it at all. I mean, it's just fencing, backed onto some garages, some chalets, disused platform, shelter on the other side, and that's about it. Not much to see at all. But you have got this, where the steps are still available from the top, which to me means that it's kind of been closed a long time ago. But we have got passengers getting on, which is a rarity considering we're only one stop away from Blackpool South. They really do want to get on. So that's Squires Gate, a very dismal and bleak looking station. But we are on our way now to our final destination, which is Blackpool South. Now, I'm not quite sure what's in front of us, but there's this tower thing, which I believe, well, I know what it is, but I'm going to pretend I don't know what it is, because you're going to see some real exciting stuff along this route in a second, which I think is going to even amaze you. And the attention to detail is just really great. And some of it is actually very, very nice to see as well. So, as we come round this bend, you're going to see a few little things that you might actually be interested to see. Because just in front of us, beyond these houses, are some things that are just out in the air, but as you get closer, you will see here that they are in fact building what appears to be the Pleasure Beach station. There you go. But we actually have got the pleasure beach actually installed on the actual game. Look, you've got the roller coaster, you've got various different parts like of it. You've got the Space Invader. Don't even know if that's a real thing, but sometimes you actually see on this one, I think it's the old wooden coaster, you actually see the actual roller coaster going up and down it. So you actually do see something actually moving on that. Don't think I've seen it since the update though, so maybe they've taken it out of it, I don't know. Anyway, we are here coming into Blackpool South now, and this is our final destination on our route. We've finally gone around the whole route, and you've seen everything that you need to see and all the little features that this game or this route technically has, and some of it is very, very good. However, I will say my final thoughts on this, and that is that this route is a very, very good route. Lot to do, lot to see, but, and there's always a but, we're going to hit the buffers. We slowed down, alright, we didn't derail. Over here we've got something which I think will end up being developed into something nice. I imagine that there, once upon a time, there probably would have been like a load of lines and tracks here and probably servicing like other things, but in general opinion, what do I think of this route? Well, it's a great route. I hope you've enjoyed it. It is a very good route, but I feel like some little touches that needed to be added to it will make this route just that little bit extra. Little things like golfers playing golf, maybe something, you know, going up and down on the roller coaster, which I know did exist at one point. You know, I'd like to see more passengers get on these trains rather than just standing there. There are a lot of things that I would like to see, and for that reason, this route isn't probably a go-to route, but it is because it's got such a lot to do with it, and there's so much to do on it, and it is an interesting route. Try it on Scenario Planner, as I said, and create your own route with modern day trains, and you will find that this route will come alive. From myself, thank you very much for joining me. Keep following, subscribing, liking, sharing, and that has been another route on Train Sim Heroes. Join us next time when we will be on a brand new route. Until then, goodbye.